All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back. More Khabib content. What's up, dude? I know you guys love it when I talk about Khabib. So, I love talking about him too, because he's fascinating. I actually just got done talking about him on my Deontay Wilder video, which I highly suggest that you guys watch. If you guys, if you think you're not interested in Deontay Wilder, just watch the video. Just take my word for it. Watch the Deontay Wilder video. I promise you it's really, really good. I don't even want to say anything else about it. I don't want to say anything else. Just watch it. But yeah, I talk about Khabib in there, and I talk about how, it's a long road. It's a long road from Deontay Wilder to where I was talking about how special Khabib is and why people are interested in him. Like that. But we can re-go over that right now. But if you like the content, subscribe, ring the bell, share it with your friends, hit the like button, all of those. Just hit buttons and type things. Thank you. So, Khabib, right? So obviously, it's not like Khabib has the thing of the invincible fighter, right? Like that is always very interesting to people. Like the guy who's never lost, especially when they've never really even lost a round, Like I'm not giving Gaethje that first round. I'm just not doing it. So if the only round he ever lost was the round he took off against Conor, I'll just say he's never lost a round because that looks like an asterisk to me more than a lost round. So the aura of invincibility is always fascinating, because it's just like, You're literally fighting against the best fighters in the world. Like that's the thing that is the thing that I even kind of forget about when I say never lost a round. He's fighting the best fighters in the world, the absolute pinnacle of fight, and not just fighters in a specific discipline. We're not talking in combat sambo or in kickboxing or in boxing. We're talking about in mixed martial arts where all disciplines are allowed. It's literally the best fighters in the world, okay, period, with nothing else. And he never lost a fucking round. Think about that, man. Think about that. He's that much better than anyone else in the entire world. It's absurd. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. But also, on top of that, he had two other things, okay? He is a principled man. We've talked about this a million times, so he stands for something. And also, his dichotomy to Conor McGregor is, one of the main reasons he became so like an enigma is because Conor was already an enigma, and then he was like the photo negative. He's the exact opposite of Conor. And that, so he blew up. He has an aura about him that's interesting to people. It's going to be very sad when he actually hangs it up, all right? So what I was talking about, or what I was thinking about is, first of all, actually, let me rewind. So I saw a video of him talking. He's having dinner with a bunch of his buddies, right? And they're asking him about retirement, and he's with his friends. So he's not in an interview setting. He's not talking to Dana, who he knows wants him to come back. He's talking to his friends, right? He's talking to, he's literally sitting around with his team and stuff, right? And they're having dinner. And one of the things he says is he's like, I'm talking to my people, and I tell them whether it happens when I'm 32, 33, 34, 35, at some point, I'm going to have to face this. And he's talking about no longer competing. He's talking about no longer competing and how he's been competing his whole life. And that this transition is going to be hard. And it's going to be hard for him. It's going to be hard for people around him, etc. But the point he's making is that whether he takes it on now or he takes it on in another fight or two, it's going to happen at some point. And candidly, one thing that I was thinking about afterwards is this in particular is if you think about a person whose mindset leads to a champion level caliber fighter, right? Like someone who is Khabib level or Justin Gaethje level, like guys who are workers, grinders, okay? Now, if you know that you have to take something on the chin, like you have to work at something that's going to be challenging, the automatic instinct of a person like that is let's do it right now. I'm not going to put that off. If I know this is going to be hard, let's do it. They run towards it. Okay. So there is this weird thing of the more Khabib thinks about how challenging it's going to be, his instincts will be, let's just do it now, because that's how he's addressed all challenges throughout his life, right? Let's just do it. Let's take it on right now if it's going to be challenging. Now, I do believe he's going to come back. Okay. I do. But I am convinced after watching that video that he is, he's got one more maybe. And I don't know, maybe two if whatever, but he's going to retire very, very, very soon. And he could not come back. He might retire. And so for this particular video, we're going to entertain the scenario where he really might not come back. And then I'm going to talk about how someone could bait him out of that. Okay. So obviously And this would be a much more exciting road to him coming back. I'm just going to lay that out there. I'm going to lay it out. I'm going to lay out literally the most exciting scenario for Khabib coming back to fight. All right. So here it is. So let's say that Khabib retires, right? Let's say he retires. Or let's say he fights GSP, then he retires, right? Either way, he's out of the game. Okay. So Conor wants to bait him out, right? How does he do that? How does he do it? Now, obviously, he could fight Dustin or fight Justin or what. I still don't understand what the hell's going on with this January 23rd fight. Still not booked. Who knows? But let's say that he fights on January 23rd and he runs through his opponent, which is incredibly likely. Okay, so let's say he annihilates his opponent January 23rd, first round knockout, impressive fashion. Looks like makes a top 5 fighter look like Cowboy did against him, right? Obliterates them and establishes this is a different Conor McGregor, right? Or at least that's the story that he's telling. Khabib, still not interested, right? I already choked him out. Not interested. So the correct play for Conor then is to call out Islam Makhachev. Okay, so let's assume Islam Makhachev beats Rafael Dos Anjos. Okay, so this is how this could play out, and it would be the absolute best case scenario if you want the biggest fight of all time. Okay, so everyone knows now. Abdulmanap was an enigma, like one of the most revered men, period, in that part of the world. And Khabib is literally one of the most famous people in the world, and certainly the biggest star in the fight game. Everyone knows their story now. Like anyone who really pays attention knows their story enough to where even guys who are casual, someone who knows the story is going to tell them this story, which is Abdulmanap's literally his dying wish, his vision, and Khabib is obviously very clear on this, is that Khabib would retire 30-0, and then Islam Makhachev would then become the champion, and that would be like the ultimate, validation of Abdulmanap's training, right? So if you're Islam Makhachev, right, and Conor calls you out, you're taking that fight. You're taking that fight for sure, because if you want to be the champion, you have to be able to beat Conor, obviously. Okay, so even if there's not a belt on the line, whatever, if Conor calls out Islam Makhachev, he's taking that fight because he needs a launching pad up into the top echelons, right? He's like, if he beats RDS, he'll move up a little bit. He'll still be, probably top 10, but he's not going to be in the conversation to fight these top guys. So if Conor calls him out, which would be strategically genius, if he knows he can't get Khabib directly, right? Calls out Islam Makhachev, and he fights Islam Makhachev because, again, Islam will take that fight because that's his ride up to the top. And if Conor beats the piss out of Islam Makhachev, like let's say he really puts it on him and knocks him out and hurts him, and then he calls out Khabib's taking that fight. Just plain and simple. There are things that elevate above any other thing, and I can promise you that your arch nemesis beating the shit out of your little brother for all intents and purposes and then calling you out afterwards. Khabib's from Dagestan, man. He's from Dagestan, okay? You can't even point in their direction without them fighting you in the street, okay? If you beat the shit out of Islam Makhachev with the whole world knowing that that's your fucking guy, that's your protege, it's your training partner and your dad's vision of the future, and Conor McGregor beats the shit out of him and then calls you out, I would fight. I mean, in that situation, without any shred of doubt, I would fight. Literally, absolutely, without a doubt, 100% I would fight. And I certainly am not going to say that I am more wired for combat than Khabib. I'm probably as wired as anybody but Khabib is the king of wired for combat. He's going to fight him in that scenario. I mean, just plain and simple, 100%. And think of the passion that'll be behind that one. So that way, Conor doesn't need to be disrespectful anymore. He just, he doesn't need to do the whole song and dance. Like now, you want to give Khabib a reason to be motivated to fight Conor again? There you go. That's how you do it. So try to imagine the build up to that fight. Do you remember when, a lot of you probably won't actually, you remember when Tito Ortiz fought Ken Shamrock the first time? Now this is obviously not the same thing, but kind of similar, Ken Shamrock was the retired legend. Now, obviously, Khabib is a much more recent fighter who is much more likely to win the fight. But everybody thought of Ken Shamrock as like this big, savage gangster who had retired but was ultimately, one of the toughest guys ever. Tito Ortiz beat his teammate, or beat the guy that he was coaching, and he was super disrespectful about it. And Ken Shamrock came out of retirement to fight Tito. That's the very first UFC event that I watched that I was like, oh my gosh, this fight's gonna be bananas. And I never missed one since then. Look up the date on that. Ken Shamrock, Tito Ortiz won. First one that I really like looked forward to and then watched, and I never missed another event, ever. So the build up for that fight, it would oh my God, I literally can't even imagine the number of pay-per-views it would sell and the promos they would do and showing Conor beating Islam Makhachev and then whatever. I mean, that's that. Okay. So if Khabib doesn't want to come out and fight, for his 30th fight, or if you're Conor and you want to try to bait him out, there you go. Islam needs to beat RDS. You need to win your fight January 23rd, and then you fight Islam Makhachev. There you go. And then you have to win decisively and then call out Khabib. You're going to get Khabib. I don't think you're going to want that Khabib. If I'm being straight with you, I think that Khabib is going to really... I don't think Khabib's beatable. And I think an angry Khabib who is looking at this as like a vengeance fight for someone who intentionally derailed his father's vision, I think he's going to put his fist through Conor's skull in that fight, most likely. Or it's certainly going to try to. But anyway, tell me that wouldn't be exciting. Come on. I know you guys want to see Islam Makhachev become champion, but you guys, he can become champion later. He's already not undefeated. He has a loss. So undefeated champion is already out, right? So let's see the biggest fight ever, and then Islam can try to go be the champion afterwards. Anyway, that is what I've got. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, tell your friends. Love you guys.